What's up guys, it's Coach Nick.
And in this video, you and I are going to come up with a shooting drill
For absolute beginners.
And we're going to do this by taking a look at some of the best shooters in the NBA so we can come up with a way to replicate the way they shoot the basketball.
Are you ready? Let's go.
Here are our 5 shooters. We've got Seth Curry, who shot 45% from the three-point line in 2019. Then we have his brother Steph Curry, who shot 44% from the three-point line in 2019. Then we have JJ Redick, who shot 40% from the three-point line in 2019. Then we have George Hill, who averaged 48% from the three-point line in 2020. Now, you might be wondering why I picked 2020 for his stats and not 2019. Well, that's because the last 2 years were a bit of an anomaly for George Hill, but if we look at his averages overall, we can see he's a really good three-point shooter. And lastly, we have Duncan Robinson, who shot 45% from the three-point line in 2020. Again, another player whose percentage greatly differed from the previous year, but who has a beautiful three-point shot. Now let's take a look at each of their shots and see if we can find some similarities. Our first shooter is Seth Curry. He loads the ball near his head, and then he ends with a nice flick of the wrist. Then we have Steph Curry, and again, loading the ball near his head and finishing with a nice flick of the wrist. Then we have JJ Redick loading the ball fairly close to his head, not as close as the Curry brothers, but still fairly close, and then finishing with a nice flick of the wrist. Then we have Duncan Robinson loading the ball near his head and finishing with a nice flick of his wrist. And lastly, we have George Hill loading the ball near his head and finishing with a nice flick of the wrist. All right, so I think we found some similarities between these shooters. So let's come up with a drill that can replicate what they're doing. We'll start without the ball, and I want us to hold our hand just like this, right at our forehead. Then we're gonna flick, making sure our elbow is extended and our wrist is coming down just like this. And we're gonna do this 100 times.
100 times each night before going to bed.
Did you do it 100 times?
Did you do it?
Seriously, did you do it 100 times?
Don't lie to me again.
All right, great. Now let's add the ball. All right, so we'll take the ball.
Take the ball.
We're gonna put it on our hand, making sure there's a nice little gap here. Not
Take the ball.
a huge gap, just a little gap right here. And all we're gonna do is flick it. So I want us to put the ball right here, which is where those NBA players are holding it before they shoot. And you notice we got this nice little shape here, just like the NBA players. And then all we're gonna do is flick, flick. So our arm should be stationary, and it's really just our wrist that's doing the work. Once we've done 100 of these or so, and we feel like our wrist has gotten the motion down, we can do the whole move. And once we feel comfortable catching and balancing the ball on one hand, we can add in our other hand for support, making sure that it's only guiding the ball and not interfering with our flick. All right, thanks for watching this vid. I hope you found it helpful, or at least entertaining. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video with your mom. Peace. You want to tie it? Okay, tie it. So you're gonna make my hands tie it? Yeah. All right, that's fair. Let's make sure we're recording.